Hello and welcome back to the Computational Genomics Lab. Today we are going to learn some Unix commands using a bash application and start to get used to how this course is going to use all of its resources together to learn things. Alright, so first thing we're going to do is open up a web browser and go to the GitHub for this class, which you can type in Boulder Rin Lab, 2 R's. And it'll go right to it. And you can see here that I've pinned the class called master class as I'm developing it here. And today we're going to go into lessons and 01 bash. And so we're going to start to learn how to use our terminal that we installed previously. And eventually you're going to have this GitHub repository cloned. We're going to learn how to connect to it. We're going to do all the GitHub stuff. But for now, we're just going to use it as sort of a template. And so we're going to start with 01, bashing around. And so it'll have like step-by-step what we're going to do here. So if you need to go back and look at something or find out more information, it'll be here. Okay, so now we're going to open up our terminal here. And this is, I'm using a Mac. If you're on a PC or a supercomputer, it won't matter. This is all going to be the same kind of things. We're just learning how to sort of navigate around here. And you can see this lesson is called Bashing Around. You might be thinking to yourself, wait a minute, what is bash? It's complicated is kind of the short answer, but for now it's just going to be a way we can navigate through folders and make files. And some very basic things that we're going to be using all the time. So I'm just on my local computer. We're going to connect to a supercomputer later and connect to GitHub. But first we're just going to learn how to use this thing, this terminal. So bash is actually an application to run commands. And the commands we're going to be doing are Unix or Linux. And so we'll start here with just some of our first commands, which are to move to your home directory. So you might use your screen and use this things to go to your different folders. We're essentially going to do the same thing, but using the terminal. Okay, so the first 3 commands we're going to learn is how to get back and forth between folders, how to list the files in those folders, and find out where you actually are, because it's not as easy as clicking through your operating system. Okay, so here we are, and I'm going to go to my home directory by just doing cd, which is change directory, ~/ and that means go to my home directory. And now I want to see what's in there, so we're going to use the next command, list, ls. And there we go. That's what I have here. I have a desktop, downloads, movies, things Mac installs on this computer just by default. Okay, so now I want to know where I am, and so that we can do pwd for pathway to directory, and here I can see I'm in users /r. That's what I've chosen as my home directory by doing this tilde and / that means home directory. And so again, I can see where I am, and great, we've started doing Unix commands. Okay, so let's move on. And so we did a list here to see what's in there, but maybe there's more things. And so what we can do is list-LAH, which stands for long all human readable. Oh my gosh, look at that. There's so much more in there. So there's these secret files that have a dot in front of them that you normally don't see when you just do an ls. So I often just use ls-LAH. This dash here is a flag to say, like, okay, this is the command ls, but give me some more information about it. And that was the detail we just added. Okay. If you also want to clear your terminal, you can just type the word clear and it'll go back to normal. Okay, so now we're going to make a folder. So normally you can right click and make new folder. We're going to do that using the terminal. And so just to check where I am, I'm here, and I'm going to make a directory called first directory. You don't usually want to use spaces when you're on the terminal. You usually use the underscore. Spaces are represented as 2 forward slashes, and it gets kind of confusing. So I did that, and now let's do a list, and I can see, oh cool, I made my first directory. And CD, again, is for change directory. I can move into there and I'm just going to type the first 4 letters here first and hit tab, and if it knows where I'm going with that, and there's a unique entry, it'll just fill it out for me. If I do a list here, there's nothing. If I do a list minus LH, there's still nothing. So that's good because we just made that. And if we want to go up a directory, we can do cd ... which just means go up 1, and do a list, and I'm right back to where I was. Okay, so now we are on line 62 of this document as of this recording. You can see here that we're adding a man, so we're doing man mkdir for man make directory. And this is a manual, so every command in Unix has a manual, and you can do that. Use Q to get out of it for quit. So every command has one, so we can do manual ls, which we just learned, and it'll tell you all those things you can add to it, and you can scroll down with your arrow key and look through it. So throughout the class, if you find a command and you want to know what other parameters you can add to it, you can do that and just type Q and it will cancel out. Okay, so we're going to do another command called touch here, and we're going to make a file called test.txt for text file. So touch, what it does is we do this, and we go like this, and we can see, oh my gosh, touch made a file called test.txt. And so anytime you use touch, it'll just make that file. But now we want to put something in there, and the word process, or the sort of word processor, I guess, yeah, you could call it, we're going to use is called nano, N-A-N-O. And if I do nano test.text, what I can do is it'll open up a thing. There's nothing in there because we haven't typed anything in this file yet. And so I'm just going to type in, yay, I made a new file and can type in it using nano, which is, there's other text editors like Vim, VI. They're more complicated but have a lot more features. For this class, we're just going to use nano. And to get out of nano, you do Control X for exit, shown down here, and it's going to ask you, do you sure you want to save these changes? Sometimes you don't, and just hit N for no. I'm going to hit Y for yes, and enter. And so now, if I want to look at what's in there without having to type or accidentally hit a key and save the wrong thing, we can use the command cat for concatenate. So let's cat test.text, and it shows me what's in there. Yay, I made a new file using nano. So that's cat will be very useful, and we'll use it a few more times today. Now let's say you just want to look at the top of a file for the first, like see what the columns might be in a data file. You can use this command head here, and that is just going to read out the top of the file, and the -10 means read out the first 10 lines, or you could do the first 100. The number you put here will determine how many lines it's going to read. So there's only one line in this file, so we'll just do 10, and then test.text with a space between the two, and it shows me the same thing cat did. Tail, same thing, is from the bottom of the file. So if you just want to see what's at the end of the file, maybe you're running a program and you want to just see what came out at the end, that would work, be a good use of that. Okay, so now let's remove that file. Let's say we wanted to get rid of it. And so we can use the function rm for remove and do test.text. I like to use tabs so it knows that we're all on the same page here. So remove test.text, and now if we do list, it's gone. All that work just disappeared. So remove is a dangerous command because there's no undo in the terminal, or using bash or Unix, however you want to think about it. Okay, so now we're gonna learn how to sort of use cat in a different way. So we'll make a new file called test again. And let's do that. So we'll use nano. You could do touch and then nano, but to save time, we'll just do nano test.text. And in there, we're going to type, here is something I am typing. And again, Control X, Y, enter. And now that file is there. And so if we want to make a second file, let's say, so we'll do nano test2.txt and hit that and say typing something different this time. I can't spell very well. This will become apparent. And there we go. Now we'll do Control X and Y to get out of it. And so now we see two files there. We have test and test2 here. And let's say you want to merge those two things into another file. So you were taking notes and you want to combine those two notes. We can do that with cat as well. And we just saw that cat will print out whatever's in there, but it can also merge two files. So I'm going to clear this because we got a lot going on here. And so we're going to do cat test. Now see they have the same thing, so it's going to ask me which one, test.text. Then I have to type the second file, test2.text, and this forward arrow means take these two files, merge them together, and output it. That's basically what that arrow is output to another file, and we're going to name it test3.txt. Okay, so now if we list here, we see we got three files, and we're going to use cat again to look at what's in test3 here, and you can see that it took the two contents from test and test2 and put them together. Okay, so now we're going to practice moving files and copying files. And so let's make a new folder, which we saw just a second ago is mkdir for make directory. We're going to call this practice. And so if I list here, I can see practice is now a folder. And I want to move these test files in there. So I could do it one at a time where I do move, mv is move, test .txt, and then put it into practice. What this is going to do is it's going to move the file directly into practice here. So it'll disappear from our list now. And so we only have test2 and test3 here. And if we go in using cd to practice, we can see that we have test.txt. To move up a directory, again, cd ... This stuff will all become second nature soon. And we can see we're back here, but we've moved one file into practice. And let's say now I wanted to move all the files named test with something. We can use what's called a wildcard. And I'm sort of skipping ahead here because what is outlined here is just how to move that file one at a time. But to save time, we can do this command here with the asterisk, which means anything before .txt in here. So again, with a powerful command, you got to be careful that you don't accidentally move stuff you didn't want to. But we have two files, test2 and test3.txt here. And if we want to move both of them into practice, we can do mv star, which means anything, .txt. And it'll just be those two files in this situation because that's the only thing we have there. And I want to move them into practice, so that's where the destination is. And I go like that, hit enter, and we can see they're all gone. And if I cd into practice, we can see they're all three are there. So now let's say we wanted to move them back up to where they were before. So we can do the same thing, and clear this a little bit, and do move star.txt up a directory. So ... or ... /. And now if we look in our practice folder, it's empty. And if we actually move up one folder and do a list, we can see all three of them are here. Okay, so that we're moving along and getting to learn how to use these things. And so let's say we wanted to look at how big our practice folder is. We can use the command du dot dash sh. You could use man du and define the manual and see what these mean, or what you can see here is that it's summary and human readable. I have that down here. So that just makes it a little easier to understand how big that folder is. So let's do du-sh practice. 0 bytes. Okay, it's tiny. And if we do go into practice, do a list, we see there's nothing in there. That's why it's 0 bytes long. Okay, so we're back up here, and we have these 3 files. But let's do something where du might be more useful. So we can do cd to our home directory, which again is ~/, hit enter, and then let's do du-sh ~/. And now we're going to see how big our entire home directory is. All right, let's check it out. Okay, I have to allow some access to my photos. Yes, okay, okay, okay. So this is a bad idea. And this is where we might want to cancel. And so what we can do is just type Control-C, and it'll stop that whole program from running and asking me for permissions to look through everything. So the reason for that lesson was to use Control-C so that you can cancel anything you are doing that might have been too much. So that's shown here. Control-C stops whatever's going on in there. And so let's clear this off and do a list. And let's just do, we'll do du-sh desktop to see how big my desktop is. 85 gigabytes. Okay, so I have a bunch of class videos on here, and so it tells me that it's 85 gigabytes. And one other really useful application of this is when you're running a program, which we're going to do soon, you might want to see that du gets bigger so that you know the program is still running. That's sort of a nice shortcut. Okay, so we're going to move on to doing just one more thing here, the pipe, which means take this command and pipe it into the next command. This will become really useful in class many times over. And so let's go back to our terminal here, and let's see where we are with pwd, or path to working directory. Okay, I'm in my home directory, do a list. This becomes a habit where you just want to check exactly where you are and what's going on. So we're going to do a list of our desktop here. So if we did that, we would get this list, and there's like 3, 6, 9, 12, 13 things here. So let's do list with a pipe is just the straight line here on the right side of your keyboard, and then word count is WC, so it's going to count how many things there are, and -L means how many lines there are, and so that should be 13, which it is. Okay, so I think what you have done now is seen some of the commands you will be using over and over and over again, and you will soon forget that you even had to learn them. So with that, we're now going to move on to some more advanced functions. See you next time.